tried to make it like that's the final arbiter, and it's not. You can't you don't waive your right to trial by jury. You don't have a judge sitting in a tax court that's going to decide this stuff. So that's what she was going like, no, this is our federal government. And I said, no, and I started talking to her about the income stuff and this, that. She goes, that's all bullshit. You're just full of bullshit. Went through one of those kind of things. I said, okay, fine. But I hope to be able to get her when she's calm and talk some of this stuff over. In other words, not that I know everything because I'm nowhere near, but you got to take it in steps. You got to say, A begets B begets C. Okay, if we have certain God-given rights, unalienable rights, natural, fundamental, whatever.
That's right.
They want.
Unalienable.
Unalienable. That's the correct pronunciation. In other words, you cannot put a lien on a right that essentially belongs to God, but that He's given you. In other words, if your dad's given you a house, the government can't come in and say, we put a lien on that house. Right? Well, that's the caveat to all this is they can do it. You've got to put yourself through all kinds of misery to fight it. They can't lawfully do it.
Lawful and legal is two different terms.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean that's what I was. I would. You've got to start somewhere. You've got to start at the beginning.
Well,
right.
The beginning comes with understanding and knowledge and truth, and there's only one truth, and that's through Jesus Christ. And if people don't understand that, they'll get little bits and pieces, but they'll be lost in the mix. And the only way you'll really understand that is to really study and search, and know the terms, and not read into it what a preacher tells you. Look into it for yourself. And a lot of people believe the history books, which have been rewritten since I was smaller. And my grandmother and my grandfather, which were from the early hundreds and the 1800s, and anyway, they would go, my God, they rewrote history again. And I go, what do you mean again? Well, when I was a young boy, and then later on they changed, tweaked it here and tweaked it there, but
that says something.
It's been going on for years.
Well, and yeah, I read about stuff in the 20s and stuff like that where they're like the same kind of thing, like what we're experiencing now. So it's happened.
Different levels.
The strata of rewriting is a lot deeper than we thought. The people were outraged back, just like the Social Security card, for example, was guaranteed.
It says right on it, this shall not be used for identification purposes.
And there was a great deal of resistance to it, and it was guaranteed by the government never to be used as personal identification. Guaranteed by the government.
Well, when I went for the first time to fit out one of them forms for the FBI background check and all to pick up my rifle, I was like, I was telling the guy, and he thought I was like, getting whacked out because he didn't know how.
Was this the guy that was on your side eventually?
Yeah, but anyway, I was like, well, it says optional for quote Social Security numbers. I don't have a Social Security number. It's not my number. And
it said optional.
Yeah, it says optional, and also it says, have you ever renounced U.S. citizenship? This and this and that, all these other things. Well, the common person, if they knew how to answer that, anyway, I don't want to get out. You know where I would go with that,
Well, no, not exactly.
Don't have enough time in the day to get out.
I told you about that time on when I was for jury duty. They asked me straight out, are you a U period S period citizen?
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote no.
That's right.
I told you that whole story.
Yeah.
Where were you born? Houston? Harris County? You think you're a U.S. citizen? No. I said, I'll be happy if you write it out properly. If it's United States, small U, capital S, write it out, and I'll be happy to say, yes, I'm that. We can't do that. Okay. See ya. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah.
That was it. Over.
I've faxed in some of those things for the jury duty and says, not a U.S. person per these definitions. I am. Anyway, long story short, but we've digressed. But
well, on this digression, I think it's an interesting digression because the way the tax law or whatever is structured, a person, common belief would be, that's like you and me, right?
Most people would believe that, but they don't understand the legal definitions and how they purport one thing that they're propaganda to you, and then they twist it around through the legal mumbo jumbo and entrap you in your own.
For example, when the government says person in the tax code, what do they mean by that? They mean a human being?
It could mean a artificial entity, a fiction, which they want to entrap you in their court system as a fiction, but that's can be argued anyway. I don't want to. It's too,
well, real quick,
let's
just say this: corporations are considered persons.
Absolutely.
Within the tax code.
That's exactly. That's because corporations are, quote, taxable, and you have to voluntarily. It's a voluntary system. Convert yourself over into that artificial entity or be subject to their jurisdiction.
Exactly. And
because you have a right to the fruit of your labor. It's a God-given right to eat. It's God-given right for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That includes feeding your family, clothing them, and having a roof over your head. Okay? Well, your labor is worth something.
Absolutely.
And just because you get paid on it doesn't mean that you made a, quote, gain. That your life, I bet if somebody came in here right now and offered you $1 million to the end of the month, and at the end of the month you forfeit your life, you'd say, go to hell.
Absolutely.
Because your life is worth more than that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But that's what you're doing when you subject yourself to.
Well, I think let's stick with this for a couple of minutes. Where are you going to go? And we'll.
Okay. Well, real quickly.
Well, let me ask you this. And I was thinking about this last night, as far as talking to this woman about taxes and things like that. That if I got a chance to talk to her again, I'd go through it from the beginning, which is where you started with. We have a natural right to labor, earn valuable consideration, whatever that may be, money, barter, whatever, to buy food, to feed ourselves, to clothe ourselves, to have a house or what have you, to protect ourselves. But the government says, no, wait a minute. The government says, okay, but we've got a little amendment in the Constitution that says Congress shall have the right to lay taxes on incomes from whatever source derived without apportionment among the several states. So, I was thinking this girl would say, look, no, they have the right to tax your income.
Yeah, they do.
Okay. How does that differ? In other words, that would seem to be not right, because if the government doesn't have any right to tax our labor, which is our God-given gift, something we possessed as a gift from God, but have they given themselves the right to do that, or are they doing it in a circuitous way?
It's called verbicide. See, they have
verbicide,
like suicide. It's verbicide, and they do it with verbiage. They paint a paradigm out there based on what you believe things to be, and they're not so. It's not what you know that will hurt you. It's what you don't know that you think it's so that will hurt you. Johnny can't read in today's society, and they allow you to conjure up your own doctrine based on your programming through the TVs and the media and school.
I think that's exactly right.
That's exactly it. So you create your own doctrine, and there could be 1,000,000 different flavors of doctrine out there as long as it's not the truth. They don't care. Like Satan, he doesn't care what church you go to. He doesn't care what religious things you exercise, how much whatever you do. He doesn't, as long as you don't get near that truth. You can have any form of You can be an LDS. You can be whatever, Jehovah's Witness. Now, there's a good many of people that are real sincerely held. They believe themselves to be Christians that are in those sects. That some of them have come out, some of them haven't. But you can be sincerely wrong.
Right.
And